So here's what I predict happening. I predict that corporate America and corporations all over the world are going to be very greedy. Sold my first company when I was about 15. I had a graceful exit. So graceful means it wasn't good. We basically failed. Well, my father was an entrepreneur, and he basically enlisted us to the business. So we had to like wake up 3 o'clock in the morning when his email server was down, and we would basically help him with all his technical issues. I had a very painful story where the chief revenue officer fired the whole company,
Mm-hmm.
and that shocked me to my soul, to my heart. So I try to help people as much as I can. This is free service. I'll try to help people with their career, give them good advice. So what I did is I started a nonprofit to basically teach people AI.
Hello, Ari. How are you, man?
Pretty good. Pleased to meet you, Quinn.
Good to talk, man. Good to talk to you. Just to begin this interview, just tell us a little bit about yourself, some general information.
Uh, wow. I don't know where to start. Entrepreneur from a very early age. Started a business to fix computers when I was 8. Sold my first company when I was about 15. I had a graceful exit when I was 20, I want to say, I can't remember, in my 20s, and had a pretty nice exit. So graceful means it wasn't good. We basically failed. And then had another exit from basically helped to pivot a company that turned into a unicorn. So entrepreneur through and through. It's like a mental illness. I can't get better.
Got you. That's very interesting. Now, you said that you started your first company at an early age. From the information I got, it was about 8 years old, right? Am I right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
All right. So,
Um,
why? Why did you start so early?
Well, my father was an entrepreneur, and he basically enlisted us to the business. So we had to like wake up 3 o'clock in the morning when his email server was down, and we would basically help him with all his technical issues. And I think through that, quite honestly, not fun experience, we got wrapped up into it, both myself and my brother. And I was thinking, okay, my dad does this, my brother does this, my older brother does this, both of them. What can I do? And I would stand behind my brother and I would watch him fix computers, build computers. And I'm like, oh, I can do that. So I became our small little town's kind of computer fixer guy. And I would show up and they would see like a young child, and I thought they would kick me out, but
All right.
I came, I fixed the computer, I took the money. I felt bad because it was a lot of money. So I was like, oh, this is too much money. And I left. And it was kind of crazy because an 8-year old, I've never held so much money in my life.
Right. That's very interesting, man. And I always say that it's better to start young usually when it comes to entrepreneurship. And I'm seeing that you started not just young, it was extremely young. Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. Now, can you tell our audience where you're from originally?
Yeah. I was born in Johannesburg, but I left at age 5.
Got you. Got you. So where do you currently reside?
Currently in Colorado.
Got you. Got you.
Yeah.
All right, great. So let's talk about your growth in your career. So you started at a young age, but then you got more serious about it as you grew up. What was the spark to get more serious about entrepreneurship, and how do you know that this was your life's path?
Yeah. Um, it's a difficult question because I've gone in and out of entrepreneurship. I wouldn't say that I ever like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. Sometimes I say that about myself, but to tell you that at different parts of my life, I always thought that, I don't think that's true. And in fact, I worked for a big corporate American company for 8 years for Mentor Graphics, that then became Siemens, was acquired by Siemens. So that was a huge sale of 250,000 employees sold into the huge German Siemens. So I've done corporate America for a long time. I've done a lot of entrepreneurship. I invest in companies, but I guess there wasn't any one point in history. It's not doesn't make for a good story, but it's the truth.
All right, all right. We like the truth there, man. It does. I mean, obviously, we like good stories as well. But whatever is true, we'll take it. So that's fine. Absolutely fine. All right. So then tell me a little bit about your career so far. I see it spans so many different areas. I see military intelligence. I see forensic tech. I see startups.
Yeah.
How did these transitions really shape who you are today in
Yeah.
your field?
I I think the failures shape us the most. And you kind of fight hard to make your failures a success. That doesn't always happen.
Right.
uh, a lot of my failures just stayed failures, and I think those ones that you kind of fail and you never really recover from them, because as an entrepreneur, I think it's something built into many entrepreneurs mindsets. You always look to blame yourself. You're always thinking, what did I do wrong? How could I have done better? Because being an entrepreneur is very lonely.
Yes, it can
So
be.
all of your failures, you're thinking, well, how could I have done this in a better way?
Hmm.
And those failures, I think, shaped me the most.
Got you.
One of my biggest failures, I think, was I hired the son of my co-founder.
Oh wow.
It was I felt in my gut it was a bad decision when I made it,
Hmm.
but I loved my co-founder so much that I just trusted him. I thought that his son would be as amazing as he was. And unfortunately, sometimes the apple does fall far from the tree,
Right.
and I had to fire him, the son of my co-founder,
Wow.
and that destroyed the company. We didn't recover from that. So sometimes you learn the most from failures. So I think that was the very hard lesson of, when you think about what are the reasons that companies fail, there's three. The one is we ran out of cash.
Hmm.
That's not a real reason, because all companies that fail run out of cash. So that's not
Right.
a real reason. And then the second reason is a founder leaves. And then the third reason is a product market fit. Now, what is product market fit? It's just like, oh, we couldn't sell the product, so we
Right.
ran out of cash. So it's the same as the other one. Um, and then a founder leaves. That's what I experienced, right?
Hmm.
So founder left. He actually started to sabotage the business.
Oh wow.
He started to lie to customers. And I get it, right? It's an angry father.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Hurt
I,
father.
a hurt, angry father, and I hurt him, and I hurt his son. I mean, the firing his son was totally justifiable, but still, that was a mistake. So I learned from that. Not to hire family is probably the first lesson.
All right. So then in that situation, my question then to you, do you think that the hiring was the issue, or do you think that the firing was the issue?
Both,
Okay.
both, for sure, both. I think if I'd never hired him, that would have been a better situation.
Okay.
But if I had handled it better, meaning I would ask his dad basically to manage his son to
Mm-hmm.
see that there's an issue with the productivity, with the performance, etc. I think that would have brought the dad to see that there's a problem. And maybe the dad would have straightened him out, right? Kicked his ass and like, do your job. I don't know.
Right. 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 Right.
But by that time, it was too late and I was too stupid. So yeah, both.
Okay. Interesting. So you learned the lessons on both sides, right? You learned
Yes, for sure.
lessons on the hiring side and on the firing side,
Yes.
and and then okay. So then, how do you recover from something like that, though? How do you get back onto your feet?
You don't.
Oh, really?
I closed the company.
Okay.
So I got $120,000 from Techstars. I gave them back the money. So actually, my managing director, she said, burn the money, Ari, make the company successful. I said, look, I lost my founder. I lost the person who's like a dad to me. There's no way I can be successful now. So here's your money back. And basically, if I come and ask for you money in the future, give it back to me. I'll make a different company. I'll be successful some other time. But at that stage, there was no way for me to recover. I also hired an engineer who trusted me out of Google, So I took an engineer out of a really good job working from Google. And the day he started working for me, like 2, 3 weeks later, I had to fire him.
Wow.
So in order to compensate for that, for his loss, right? Because I really messed him over. I gave him a very nice check. So the money that I didn't give back to the investors, I gave some to him, and I took $0 and spent 2 years of my life basically losing 2 years of salary, taking no money to my own pocket, giving all the money to that engineer that I hired and back to my investors, and took the full loss onto myself.
Wow.
You
Yeah.
know, in the military, my drill sergeant, you know what he said to me? He said, Ari, you need to pay for your mistakes.
Yes.
I took that to heart. So I paid for my mistakes
All right. So you physically paid for those mistakes in this case.
in hard cash.
Wow. All right. So let's talk about what you're into now, what you're doing now. Give us some insight into what you're up to these days.
Yeah, so I am very concerned about the what the future is holding in terms of artificial intelligence.
Okay.
I'm doing some very deep research into artificial intelligence, and what I'm seeing is that within a short amount of time, we don't know when this is going to be solved. I'm actually working on some cutting edge research to solve this problem,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm working on a small little piece of the problem, not the whole problem. And basically, the idea is to solve AI from having hallucinations. So when
Interesting.
we say AI has hallucinations, basically what we mean is it makes mistakes. It doesn't give us what we need.
Correct.
So you can see a little bit of my thesis behind me, some of the math behind me.
Got you.
I can show you my equations
Right.
there.
Right. Right.
So I'm trying to figure out this problem, and as I'm figuring out this problem, I'm starting to understand that it's solvable. And as I understand that it's solvable, I'm kind of terrified by what it will mean once it's solved. So, what I'm expecting is that at first, engineers and accountants that are new, just finished university, will not be able to find a job.
Hmm.
And we're seeing that today. We're seeing that computer science graduates can't find a job. There was a news article just recently about a computer science graduate who went to work at Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
So we're seeing the signals of the breakdown of the academic education system, which is scary to me. We're seeing the beginning of potential unemployment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I see in the future is cascading unemployment across multiple industries at the same time.
Wow.
So as AI gets better,
Mm-hmm.
the white collar workers are going to be hit really hard. So what I did is I started a nonprofit to basically teach people AI.
Right.
And it sounds weird, right? AI is taking away the jobs. How can AI like be the problem and the solution?
Solution. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's what I predict happening. I predict that corporate America and corporations all over the world are going to be very greedy. Now, because they're going to be very greedy, what they're going to try and do is they're going to try and increase their profits or their profitability
Yes.
and basically not hire people, fire people, get the job done. This will last some amount of years. We don't know. So all of my friends in economics and all my people that I consult with that think like I think, we don't know how long this will last.
Right.
And then what will happen? There will be an adjustment of supply and demand. So basically, what this is, right? It's a shock to the supply and demand because suddenly productivity increases significantly. Productivity increases. Suddenly, you have a huge excess of supply, but
Mm-hmm.
demand remains the same, right? Now, what happens is what I think after some amount of time, demand will adjust. There will be an increase in basically innovation. So my theory is if I can expand education around AI, entrepreneurship, innovation, I think we can accelerate the adjustment of demand, meaning we can create new jobs earlier.
Got
So
you.
my point is through AI, sure, AI is going to be the problem because there will be greedy companies who will use it to fire
Mm-hmm.
people. But I
You're
think
right.
AI is also going to be the biggest power ever on earth to empower anybody anywhere in the world, right? From China to Africa to America to Canada to Mexico, anywhere in the world. It's going to empower them to start a business, to learn. We're basically removing barriers to entry. And I think this is going to be the most powerful democratic force ever created. And when we look at history, We have many examples of this, right? We see the movable type, right? The typewriters, the press, the
Hmm.
news, right? On typed paper. We see the wheel. We see the internet. We see all these technological innovations creating huge equity all over the world. I think AI, not in its current form, but in the form that's coming soon, is going to be that. There's going to be a huge crash, and then it's going to, I don't know how huge, but after the crash, it's going to basically align with new innovation, new demand. But I don't know how long that will take. And in
Right.
fact, what I'm arguing is that we're going to see a second renaissance.
Interesting. Interesting. So then do you believe that AI can ever replace human beings?
That's a really difficult question. The
I know.
question, the you know, to quote my university, anytime an economist, I went to University of Chicago, so they're big on economics.
Hmm.
Anytime you ask an economic person, like, what's the answer? They say, well, it depends. so so I will do a classical University of Chicago answer. It depends. So in short term, right? I think we see AI replacing engineers, right? So software developers, we're already seeing a slowdown in demand for software developers. So in many ways, because the human beings are becoming more productive using AI, then yes, it's replacing the demand for these new human beings. But it's still human beings who are using these tools. So the question is, okay, can we will the situation come that we don't need developers? Maybe could be, yes, we won't learn computer science anymore, maybe. But then who's going to use the tool? it, it
Correct.
it it could be an artist. So maybe an artist will say, oh, I'm going to build a software company. She'll tell AI her vision. So what's going to happen is you won't need 3-4 years of studying computer science
Hmm.
in order to create software. You
Right.
can be an artist. So that's why I think there's going to be a second renaissance, because we're basically giving the power of software to everybody. This is amazing. It gives me goosebumps to think that an artist, a lawyer, an accountant, an 8-year-old boy in China or Africa or Bangkok who is brilliant can build a multi-million dollar software company. All you need to
Got
do
you.
is be smart, right? Or
For sure.
innovative or creative, right? I think that is something that is going to happen. I just don't know. I think there's going to be a second Dark Ages before the second
Right.
Renaissance comes.
Right. So it's both exciting and terrifying
Terrifying.
at the same time.
Yes, yes, yes. 100%. 100%. Um, yeah. I'll tell you what's starting to scare me. With the deep research that I'm doing around AI, we all know what training biases is, right? Training
Yes.
bias is basically you put data that is biased and then the outputs are biased. What I'm starting to see biases is very different. I'm starting to see psychological biases. So when you look at the work of Daniel Kahneman, Amos Tversky, Thinking Fast and Slow,
Hmm.
biases like recency bias, right? So I'm starting to see this psychology in the machine,
Mm.
and I'm like, whoa, why why are decision making biases showing up in neural networks which
Right.
have advanced logical units above them? So basically, I'm implementing these logical units, or think of them as almost like a logical brain above the neural network. I'm starting to see these weird biases, and that's kind of scary, because to me, what that's saying is that humans and sophisticated neural networks are more similar than we thought. That's a scary thought.
It is. It really is. It really is a scary thought. But again, like you said, it's both, well, like I said, and you agreed with, it's both scary, but it's also very exciting at the same time. I guess how we use it will really determine how our future goes.
Yes. This has been true about the hammer, about the gun, about the gunpowder, about
Everything.
everything.
Everything. It's a tool, and depends on how we use it. It really
Mm,
determines how things would go for us in the
right.
future.
But this is not a hammer or a gun. This is
No.
a nuclear weapon.
Right, right. Yeah. But it's a silent it's kind of a silent nuclear weapon if you think about it that way, because I mean, you don't see the AI takeover visibly. At least not now. You don't see it. It's almost like a silent takeover, and then slowly but surely things are changing, and then you realize this job is obsolete and that job is obsolete, and I don't need you anymore because I can get use the AI to work so much faster for me, and not just faster but more efficient than you, and all kind of things like that. Yeah.
That makes it even more scary because it's like slowly, 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 all at once. When we have violent change, everybody comes and it's like, oh, we need to stop this. There's a
Right.
problem.
Right.
But when you are basically the frog boiling in hot water, you don't know what's happening. You don't
Nope.
stop it. So I'm not saying we need to stop AI because I don't think we can,
Right.
just because I don't think it's possible.
Hmm.
Um, but I think that there definitely is a need for government to
Regulation.
envision what the future looks like.
Yep.
And once they understand what the future looks like, they understand the problems that will exist in the future. And then they can start to prepare for what this future looks like. For example, a friend of mine talked last night on my podcast, on my show. He said, and now this is a bad example. I mean, I love my friend, but the reason it's a bad example is because this is 10, 20 years away.
Right.
And basically, what he said is, oh, what if there were fully automated cars that drive perfectly? Now, we don't know when that's going to happen. Maybe it's 5 years, maybe it's 10 years. I don't know. But then no taxi drivers have a job,
Right.
all unemployed. What about policemen that are trained on basically traffic police? No
Hmm.
traffic police anymore. Now, there's a bigger problem. A lot of places make a lot of money, tax money, on traffic violations.
Right. Yes.
No taxes from traffic violations. So,
No.
Italy, if you look at how much money Italy makes in traffic violations, the number is not millions, it's billions.
Wow.
But hold on. So if they're not getting traffic violations from tourists who don't know what they're doing, and by the way, one fine in Italy 20 years ago was $800, and they hit you with two or three of those in one time. So now these billions of dollars, how is Italy going to build roads, build schools, pay for healthcare? So it's terrifying.
It is. It really is. And well, yeah, these are questions that we have to ask ourselves. It's also these are also questions that I would hope that the government, well, governments around the world are asking themselves as well. So when the time comes, in fact, well, not when the time comes, the time is now to create those regulations, to create those frameworks, so that when we can grow with the AI in that sense. So we'll never be able to keep up with it because it grows that quickly, but we can grow along with it and solve some problems maybe before they become a true burden. All right, so I want to move on to another segment of our interview. I call it the quick hitters. So these are rapid fire questions. Some light-hearted questions just to understand a little bit more about Ari the person. All right. All right. So if you could co-host a podcast episode with any historical figure, it could be a tech icon or it doesn't have to be a tech icon. Who would it be and why?
100% Albert Einstein.
Okay.
And I would specifically ask him about the Manhattan Project and if he regrets what he did.
All right. Yes. All right. That's very interesting. Next quick hitter question. Who is one surprising person in your life who taught you something invaluable, and it doesn't have to be in business but in
Yeah,
life in general?
yeah, 100%. It's one of my bosses that I absolutely hated.
Okay.
Um, he tried to make me fail. He sent so many ways to attack me. He was one of three bosses that I had. Um, but he taught me the value of meeting people face to face. He taught me the
Mm,
value of relationships. He taught me the value of going over and flying over to a different country and breaking bread. Um, he's most definitely one of the most influential people in my life, but also probably the one that I dislike the most.
interesting. Interesting.
In
Yes.
retrospect, I forgive him and I appreciate him deeply. He's a very intelligent person, very
Got you.
smart, very successful, um, and I hope he forgives me too for giving him shit.
All right. Um, Final quick hitter question. When you need a
Yes.
break, when you need a time to just chill out, how do you
Yes.
disconnect and reset?
Riding. I love riding my bike. I ride every day 3 a.m.
Okay.
And if I don't wake up 3 a.m. because I want to. I wake up 3 a.m. because I have some sleeping problems. So sometimes I wake up 6, 7. When I wake up later, then I really enjoy taking my son riding. He's hyperactive like I am.
All right.
So taking him running in the morning, it helps to kind of relax him for the day and to have him do a better job. And I think one of the most enjoyable things is that we talk. And he's 6 basically, not 5 anymore, and he asks the most difficult questions in the world. And we're talking about how to make friends and how psychology works. And we talk about he came up with this idea of the way of pain. And he talked to me about and he's 6, and he's talking to me about the duality of pain, how pain makes you stronger, but pain also makes you afraid. And
You have a
like
psychologist on your hand, man.
I'm like, oh my god, you're 6, like what is the way of pain? That was crazy. That was crazy.
Yeah, but it sounds like the apple definitely didn't fall far from the
Oh,
tree, man. He's
well,
he's he's just like his dad.
yeah. You know what? I feel bad for my mom and dad because I was such a nightmare, and I was way worse than he is. So he has made me see how terrible I was to my parents. So I would
Right.
like to take this opportunity to
To
apologize for my
apologize.
mother. Yeah, for sure.
All right.
And she
I
watches my stuff, so she'll see this.
she'll see. That's good. That's good. Um, Now, okay, let's move on to the back end of the interview.
Yes.
Your content really blends storytelling, but also
Yes.
deep insights.
Yes.
How do you balance that? How do you craft narratives that are both
I don't.
emotionally resonant,
I
but
don't.
okay,
There
interesting.
is
Explain.
no prepared questions on Story Samurai. The
Really?
guests don't know what the questions will be. I don't know what the questions will be.
You just ask them.
I don't even know what the first question will be. The only question that I know what will be is the last question. And the last question is always the same, but nobody knows it. Like
Okay.
somehow nobody listens to the end of the episode they listen to like 10, 20 minutes, like, oh, this is really good. They
Yeah.
agree to do it. They never listen to the end. And then even if they listen to the end, they don't think, oh, he asked this
To
every single
everybody.
episode. So
Right.
so so they don't know that there's one scripted question, but there is. But except for that, all the questions are and the secret, here's the secret. I listen. I actually listen to what the person is saying
Absolutely.
with curiosity that is 100% focused on the moment right now.
Yep.
And I find that through true listening and curiosity, the next question will come to you. It will come through your heart, through your head. It will come. And you know what? If it doesn't, that's the power of editing. You cut it out.
Right. Yes. 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 And I like that you said that because I do the very same thing. People don't realize that part of becoming a good interviewer is
Yes.
95% of it is listening. Not
Yes.
what you say, is what you hear and what you analyze, and then
Yes.
to ask a follow-up question. And that really makes a good conversation. You
Yes.
know? Yeah, I like that a lot. But I also feel that's true for life in general, not just
Yes.
interviewing.
Yes. Yes.
Just learn to
I
shut up and listen.
yes. Thank you. Thank you.
It's very important, very 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 important to know to listen and to gain the insights that way. So I really
Yes.
like that. All right, so you focus on burnout prevention as well. I think I've come across some burnout prevention
Yes.
from you.
Yes. I had a very painful story where the chief revenue officer fired the whole company,
Hmm.
and that shocked me to my soul, to my heart. So I try to help people as much as I can. This is free service. I'll try to help people with their career, give them good advice. Duchess, she worked for me with Story Samurai. She was one of my hosts.
Hmm.
You can go see her in the earlier episodes, Duchess. And Duchess was making, I paid her minimum wage basically. And she said to me, "Hey Ari, I'd like to one day like do something, be an entrepreneur." I said, "Okay, Duchess, tell me more about yourself." It turned out she had a pharma degree.
Wow.
And I said to Duchess, and her mother, was sick, so she was supporting her mother, and it was a tough situation. And I said, well, you have a pharma degree. Why don't you go be a medical science liaison?
Right.
And my wife is experienced with this role, so my wife gave her a lot of advice. I created some LinkedIn automation for her so she can basically find networking opportunities. I must have sent over 500 networking opportunities, connections for her through my AI. And she went from $25 an hour to almost $200,000 a year.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I'm sure her mother says a small prayer for me at least once a week.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful, man. And people often don't know the potential that they have until it's tapped
No.
into, or somebody else sees it in them.
Yes,
I know
sir.
I know that's true in my life, and I'm guessing that it's true in other people's
Oh,
life as well.
100%. It was true for me.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I can mention very easily three people that without them, I would never be as successful as I am today. Without them, I might have been in a completely opposite. And I'll never forget that. That guy that I dislike, he's one of them. That boss of mine, he changed my life.
right.
Um, I mean, yeah, we did not have a good relationship, but he
Mm-hmm.
changed my life, and I'm incredibly grateful for him. And a teacher that I had, I after 12th grade, I went to like a 13th grade technical school.
Mm-hmm.
That woman, Neely, she changed my life. Uh, so yeah, I mean, we there's so many people that change our lives. My brothers, my father, my mother. Like you cannot be who you are without the people who touched your heart and your life.
For sure, for sure. Now, you've traveled to various places around the world. You've seen
A
many
lot.
cultures, many people. Tell me what traveling has done for you. I know traveling has done a
Yeah.
lot for me,
Yes.
but how much has it done for you?
Yeah. So first of all, I want to invite you onto my podcast, Story Samurai, because
Sure,
I want to hear all about China.
sure,
Um,
okay, no problem.
as a side note, I have 2 more minutes, so we're gonna have to cut this to the last question.
No problem.
Um, so I traveled to more than 80 countries, right? More than half of them were for the job. I managed the consulting group in Siemens, but less than half of them were with my wife and children. And actually, the one that changed my heart in the most fundamental way is I traveled to the heart of the Amazonas forest. So,
Wow.
this is the Brazilian Amazonas
Yeah,
forest.
yes.
And I met a friend there who, has very little in his life from a perspective of physical wealth. So, money, stuff in his house, very little, right? They sit on the floor. Um, you know, they're basically living in the middle of a forest, right?
Hmm.
And to me, I found a friend who I felt was more similar to me as a human being than any one of my neighbors here in America.
Wow.
So I found a kindred spirit. And this person, we this friend of mine, we talked for hours. We got to know each other. He invited me home to meet his family. They cooked for me, right? A small little kitchen, one pan, and made very basic simple food. And it was the happiest day of my life. And that changed me. It made me understand that it doesn't matter where you're from, it doesn't matter who you are. You can find a brother from another mother, uh, anywhere.
Beautiful.
And I think we forget that sometimes, or we never take the time to learn that. So to me, a big shout out to my Brazilian friends. um, I've learned so much from them.
Absolutely. So you went across the world and you found yourself. I feel the same
It's
way
true.
about China, but
Yes.
we'll talk about that a little bit more when I
Yes,
get
sir.
onto your podcast.
Yes, sir.
Anyhow, bro, this has been an amazing conversation, and to thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Thank you
Absolutely.
for reaching out to me and connecting with me. You are a very intriguing person, and I know we will definitely connect
Yes, sir.
again in various ways down the line. Thank you for all you do, and stay committed to your craft. I look forward to seeing even bigger things from you, and look forward to connecting with you on a different level as well.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
For sure. All right.